All right, welcome back for another deep dive. And you know me, I love to try and improve my golf game any way I can. You send in this article all about chipping, and, well, let's just say I'm ready to unpack it and see if it can really help us shave some strokes off our scores.
I'm with you there. Chipping can be one of the most frustrating parts of the game.
So, right off the bat, this article dives into the difference between chipping and pitching.
Ah, yes. Chipping versus pitching.
And honestly, I'll admit I've used these terms interchangeably before. But is there actually a big difference, or is it just semantics?
You know, it's more than just semantics. It's about understanding the nuances of the short game. Chipping is all about finesse, getting the ball to land softly on the green and roll nice and easy towards the hole. Pitching, on the other hand, that involves more loft and distance. It's about getting the ball up and over things.
Okay, I see what you mean.
Yeah.
So it's like choosing the right club for the shot.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use a driver when you're right next to the green.
Exactly. And the article really emphasizes how mastering chipping can be a game changer. I mean, think about it. Those little finesse shots around the green, those can save you so many strokes.
I've definitely lost my fair share of strokes to bad chips.
So let's talk about some of these common mistakes the article highlights. I know I've been guilty of a few of these, especially the chicken wing, when your arms tense up and, wow. Yeah.
The dreaded chicken wing. It happens to the best of us. A lot of times it comes from trying to force the shot or just plain nervousness.
Yeah, it's like your body's saying, I don't know about this. And then there's the flinching, or maybe I should say, closing my eyes at impact.
Ah, I see you're a fellow eye closer.
Oh, yeah. I've probably lost more balls that way than I can count. But seriously, how do we fix these issues?
Well, awareness is the first step. Like you said, you know you're doing it. From there, it's about building good habits through practice, really focusing on a smooth swing. You'd be surprised how much even something like breathing exercises can help. Breathing exercises for chipping.
Cool.
Okay, I've never tried that, but I'm willing to give it a shot. The article then goes into equipment, specifically wedges. And, I used to think a wedge was just a wedge.
Not all wedges are created equal.
But then I started hearing about pitching wedges, sand wedges, lob wedges. What's the deal with all those?
Well, think of them as specialized tools for different chipping situations. Your pitching wedge, that's your workhorse. Great for those standard chips around the green. Sand wedges, those are designed for, stand traps, of course. And then you have lob wedges, perfect for getting over obstacles or when you need to land the ball softly.
So it's not just about grabbing any old wedge. You really got to think about which one is going to work best for the situation.
Right. Choosing the right wedge can make a huge difference in how your chip flies and rolls.
Now, here's something I never considered. The article recommends using softer golf balls for chipping. Is there really a noticeable difference? I mean, isn't chipping more about technique than the ball itself?
Well, technique is definitely key, but the type of ball you use can have a subtle effect. Softer balls tend to compress more, which gives you better spin and control.
Oh, I see. So it's like having another tool in your arsenal to fine-tune your chipping. But for someone just starting out, or maybe on a budget, is it really necessary to go out and buy all these different wedges and special golf balls?
Not at all. Honing your technique should be the top priority, as the article points out. Start with what you have, master the fundamentals, and then as your chipping improves, you can gradually experiment with different equipment and see what works for you.
Okay, that's reassuring to hear. You don't have to break the bank to become a chipping wizard. Speaking of technique, the article dives right into these 4 key elements: grip, stance, ball position, and swing tempo. I thought I have a decent understanding of those,
But
but
they're at the building blocks of a good chip shot.
right. Maybe you could shed some light on why they're so important.
Absolutely. Let's start with grip.
Okay.
The article really emphasizes having a relaxed grip.
Yeah, and I've heard some golfers say you need a firm grip for more control.
Interesting. What's your take on that?
I'm not really sure, to be honest. I've always struggled to find that sweet spot between a grip that's too loose and one that's too tight.
Yeah, it's a delicate balance for sure. But for chipping, I definitely lean towards a more relaxed grip. Think of it like holding a bird. You don't want to squeeze too tightly or you'll crush it.
Okay, that's a great analogy.
You want to be able to feel the club head and let it flow through the swing.
Makes sense.
Now, moving on to stance.
Okay.
The article recommends a narrow stance, feet close together.
And I've always felt a bit awkward. Standing like that, I feel like I'm going to lose my balance.
I know what you mean. It can feel a little strange at first. But that narrow stance actually helps with stability and balance, which is crucial for a consistent chip shot.
Huh. I never thought about it like that.
You want to feel grounded, almost like you're ready to pounce on the ball.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture.
Next up, we have ball position.
And the article suggests placing the ball slightly back in your stance. I always thought it should be more centered.
Placing the ball back encourages a downward strike, helps you make clean contact and get that nice little pop.
Oh, so you're almost trapping the ball against the ground.
Exactly. And finally, we have swing tempo. The key here is to find a nice smooth rhythm.
I always tend to get a bit quick with my swing, especially when I'm feeling the pressure.
Ah, I see you're a fellow quick swinger.
Yeah, it's like my brain tells my arms to speed up even when I know I need to slow down.
It happens. The key is to develop a pre-shot routine that helps you relax and focus on that smooth tempo. Visualize that smooth, flowing motion before you even address the ball.
I love that idea. It's like turning your chipping swing into a beautiful symphony.
Exactly. It's all about rhythm and flow.
So we've got the grip, stance, ball position, and swing tempo. Master those 4 elements, and you're well on your way to chipping like a pro.
Right. Those are the fundamentals.
But the article doesn't just stop at theory. It actually gives us some practical drills to work on. It highlights the zone drill and the around the world drill. Have you ever tried these?
Absolutely. They're classics and for good reason. The zone drill is great for working on your accuracy and distance control. You basically pick a target area on the green and try to hit as many balls into that zone as possible.
Okay, that sounds pretty straightforward.
It is, but it's really effective. And then you have the around the world drill.
That one sounds interesting. What's that all about?
So for this one, you place balls in a circle around the hole.
Okay.
And you chip each ball into the hole. It forces you to adjust to different lies, slopes, distances, really helps you get a feel for all those different scenarios you'll encounter on the course.
Yeah, I like that it simulates real-world situations. We've covered the technical side of chipping, but as we all know, golf is just as much a mental game as it is physical. The article talks about staying present, visualization, and managing nerves.
The mental game is huge in chipping, especially under pressure.
Oh, absolutely. When I'm standing over a chip shot, my mind starts racing with all these doubts and fears.
I hear you. It happens to everyone.
Do you have any tips for silencing that inner critic and just focusing on the shot?
Well, one technique I find incredibly helpful is visualization. Before you even address the ball, take a moment to create a clear mental picture of the shot you want to hit. See the ball flying through the air, landing softly on the green, rolling right into the hole.
That's interesting. I've heard about visualization for other sports, but I never thought to apply it to golf.
It's a powerful tool. It can really help program your mind for success. And another helpful tip is to develop a consistent pre-shot routine. This could involve taking a few deep breaths, checking your alignment, whatever helps you feel centered and focused.
Like creating a little mental sanctuary on the golf course.
Exactly.
I like that. Speaking of learning from the best, the article also suggests watching professional golfers and analyzing their chipping techniques. But honestly, won't that just make me feel inadequate? I mean, I'm never going to be able to chip like Tiger Woods.
It's not about comparing yourself to the pros or trying to copy their every move. It's about observing how they approach different chipping scenarios and picking up little nuggets of wisdom that you can apply to your own game.
So it's more about inspiration than imitation.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense. And to wrap up the main points, the article stresses the importance of continuous improvement, self-assessment, and adjusting your chipping based on the course conditions.
It's a journey, not a destination.
So true. And, you know, I can get complacent with my chipping, especially when I'm having a few good rounds, but it sounds like mastering this part of the game is an ongoing process.
It is. It's about embracing that process, celebrating those small victories, and always striving to get better.
I love that. It's about finding joy in the challenge. Now, the article also mentions something that I think is really important. It talks about recognizing your own strengths and weaknesses when it comes to chipping. I think I have a pretty good handle on my weaknesses. My short game is definitely my Achilles heel. But how can I really identify my strengths in this area?
Well, self-awareness is key in any aspect of life. Golf is no exception. Think about your chipping. Are there certain types of shots you consistently excel at? Maybe you're a master of the bump and run, or maybe you're really good at getting up and down from tough lies.
Yeah, I never really thought about it like that.
It's about recognizing those strengths so you can leverage them on the course.
So it's like knowing your secret weapon and when to use it.
Exactly.
That's a great point. And it reminds me of something the article touched on earlier, the idea of keeping a training journal. Is that something you recommend for your students?
Absolutely. A training journal is a fantastic tool for anyone serious about improving their game. It doesn't have to be anything fancy, just a simple notebook where you can jot down notes about your practice sessions, track your progress,
I like that idea. It's like having a conversation with yourself about your golf game.
Exactly.
And over time, you start to see patterns emerge.
Right. You can see what's working, what's not working. It helps you fine-tune your practice.
That's really insightful. The article also encourages golfers to be open to learning from others, whether it's fellow golfers, online communities, or even that seasoned veteran at the driving range who always seems to have a nugget of wisdom to share. Have you found that helpful in your own golf journey?
Absolutely. There's always something new to learn in this game. Even if you've been playing for years, there's always room for improvement.
So true.
Sometimes a simple tip from someone else can make a world of difference.
Yeah, it's amazing how much you can learn just by observing and asking questions. It seems like the path to chipping mastery is paved with practice, self-awareness, adaptability, and a willingness to learn from others.
I think you summed it up perfectly.
It's a journey, not a race.
Well said.
And now, before we wrap up this deep dive, the financial aspect of golf content creation.
You mean the disclaimer about affiliate links?
Exactly. It's a reminder that even in a sport like golf, there's a business side to things.
Yeah. Transparency is important. It's good that the article acknowledges that they may receive commissions from purchases made through their links.
Right. It's about being upfront and honest with the audience.
And it's also a reminder that creating quality content takes time and effort. Supporting content creators allows them to keep providing valuable information and insights.
Absolutely. It's a win-win for everyone. So, it looks like we've come to the end of our deep dive into the art of chipping.
We covered a lot of ground today.
We did, and I hope our listeners found it both informative and inspiring.
Me too.
Wow, we've covered a ton of ground today.
From those tiny little chips to the mental game, it's been a real deep dive.
It has. And you know, what really struck me is just how much goes into a good chip shot. It's not just about hitting the ball. It's about understanding all these different elements.
It's about precision, feel, and strategy.
Exactly. And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was the importance of self-awareness. Really taking the time to figure out what works for you, what your strengths and weaknesses are.
Yeah, and not being afraid to experiment, to try new things, to step outside your comfort zone.
And speaking of stepping outside your comfort zone, what about that visualization technique you mentioned? Have you seen that make a real difference for golfers?
Oh, absolutely. Visualization is a powerful tool. It can help you build confidence and overcome those pre-shot jitters.
Yeah, I could definitely see how that would be helpful, especially when you're faced with a pressure shot.
It's all about creating that mental picture of success, seeing the ball go exactly where you want it to.
Okay, so we've talked about the technical aspects, the mental game, but what about the actual practice?
Practice, the key to improvement.
Any tips for making the most of our practice time?
Well, first and foremost, make it a habit. Even if it's just for 15, 20 minutes a day, consistent practice is key.
Makes sense.
And don't just go through the motions. Be intentional with your practice. Set specific goals for each session. Focus on 1 or 2 areas you want to improve.
Okay, so quality over quantity. That training journal we talked about could be really helpful for that too. Keeping track of what you're working on, how you're feeling, all that.
Absolutely. A training journal is like having a personal coach in your pocket.
Love that analogy. So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of chipping, any final words of wisdom for our listeners?
Well, I think the most important thing is to remember that chipping is a journey, not a destination. There will be good days and bad days, moments of brilliance and moments of utter frustration.
Oh yeah, I know those moments all too well.
But the key is to keep practicing, keep learning, and never give up on your quest to master the art of chipping.
That's a great message to end on. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive, and we'll see you next time for another exciting golf adventure.